My name is Daphne Kamalo, and I was born in a South African village with no name to the Zulu tribe. It had a name once upon a time. It had a name the natives called it, but this name did not appear in the maps of my country. Perhaps it was the years of apartheid that had washed it away. The forced relocation of masses, the subjugation of millions of native Africans under the weight of a tiny minority of whites, Anglos, and Afrikaners. I grew up in extreme poverty, and I did not know my father. Like many other South African women, I grew up with only the murky shadow of my father in the background, a mysterious man I never knew. My mother had me when she was a teenager. This was custom in the areas of South Africa in which we were from. I had my first child, Malabi, at 16. I got pregnant with my second child when I was 19. My son, Kolani Nkosi, was born on February 4th, 1989. I chose the name as an expression of solidarity with his sister. In reality, Malabi and Zulani might have only been half-siblings, but together with the same surname and the identities of their fathers unknown, they would hold each other as full brother and sister. We also realized that he was tiny and frail. I did not know it then, but the man who was Zulani's father had given me something horrible, something monstrous, something that would doom us both. His father had impregnated me with death. I was worried sick, and I wanted a better life for him and my family. We moved to Johannesburg in a search of a better life. I worked as a cleaning lady in the city before moving my family up to live with me in an impoverished slum. It was there that I went to the rudimentary clinic and asked the doctor to examine us. They ran some tests on me and my child. The doctor then came in with his big lab coat and sat me down. He was really quiet. He told me I had HIV, and that more than likely my child had HIV as well. I was afraid. I had heard of this so-called thin disease. The paranoia surrounding HIV was at a high watermark. People lost their jobs if they came out as positive. Women were beaten in the streets, and one woman was beheaded outside in the country. The doctor called my employer, and I lost my job and was forced to move into a slum outside the city. It was at that time I heard about the Guest House, an organization helping people with HIV, giving them food and housing and the affection they lacked in normal society. I decided to take my child to the Guest House and have them take care of Zolani. I understood that he would be able to help more than I could. My son Zolani was a big hit there. The people loved him and argued about who would feed him and take care of him. Eventually, the Guest House was shut down due to financial reasons. The woman who ran the organization, Gail Johnson, adopted my son. Her family took him in and treated him like their own child. He called me mommy and her mommy as well. He saw no contradiction. As my health was deteriorating, I would make visits to see my son. I would hold him in my arms as cartoons played over the Johnsons' TV. The Johnsons would disappear to give room for me to spend time with them. This was a hard time, but a happier time, as my son had a chance to live. After a long fight with AIDS, I passed in 1997. My child died a couple years after me. However, the world that I was born into had changed. Apartheid had ended, and Nelson Mandela was president. My son, after his death, became a hero and a face for the HIV pandemic. My name is Daphne Kamalo, and I was born in a South African village with no name to the Zulu tribe. It had a name.